Well, hello and welcome. And today we're going to do half an hour of standing, so continuing just to build up. And as ever, obviously you don't have to do half an hour. It's not the most conducive way of doing standing for anyone to have someone talking to them like this. So this is more of a, like we're going to do today, teaching you about different ways of using visualization and imagination that can stimulate different kinds of effects, and you can go away and take away from this, into your own practice. But I know some people do really like to follow along. It creates a bit of a sense of community, and I know there's people all over the world who are following along. So when you're doing your standing, like I do, I always think like there's other people standing along with me. And I remember my coach saying that it really has a psychologically beneficial effect that just helps you with your standing. So it doesn't matter if you have to take a break and put your arms down and then just carry on, that's fine. The only thing to say about that is it usually takes about 10 minutes for everyone just to kind of let the tension go. And it doesn't really matter how advanced you are, it just builds up in daily life. So I know it's a faddy thing at the moment because people are trying to market Zhan Zhuang, so inevitably that means watering it down. So there is a thing around people doing like a few minutes here, 5 minutes and 5 minutes and 5 minutes. And really, to be honest, you need to do around about 10 minutes just to begin to get the relaxation. And as I always say, it's not about amount of time, it's about the quality of feeling. But the irony is it takes a certain amount of time before you get that quality of feeling. So follow along, take a little break if you have to, and then bring it into your own training. So some of the objectives today, obviously we want to try and get up to half an hour if you can. If you can do that, that's absolutely fantastic. But we also want to start thinking more about visualization. And if you've been following along, you'll see that the way that I've structured the course is to give everyone like a really long time to work on their standing, rather than starting right from the start with standing and visualization, which is actually not a very effective method. And what I've also done is built the framework, the physical movement framework around each one that you can then bring your standing, like contextualize with your standing. It's a much more effective way to learn each one as a martial art, and it gets results much, much quicker. Nevertheless, visualization, mental induction is the heart of each one, and we're always building up to that. The way that I've done it, the way that you can learn some of the body mechanics around punches and things like that, then when we bring them into standing and use different visualizations, I'm not quite going to do that today, but using different visualizations that you can then link to concepts like open and close, like imagining someone's pulling your arm forward and someone's pulling your arm back, and that's the open posture. Having that contextualization makes it a lot easier to work with the visualization in the Zhan Zhuang. So it makes it a much more effective practice. But what we're going to do today is we're going to start moving towards more effective visualization. What I want to do is show a few things around, if it works for you, interesting things that can happen with visualization. So something we've done before, focusing on different parts of the body. And I'm hoping if people are able to stand for longer periods now, you can start getting some really interesting effects when you do this. So some of the most basic effects that we want are all the hairs standing up on a part of the body. So getting that feeling. I mean, at first it sounds ridiculous because you think you don't have any kind of conscious control over that, but you really do. So doing our standing posture, focusing on, I'm going to do kind of, sort of in between this kind of posture. Hands halfway, not fully round like that, not fully down, just kind of half. Thinking about how do we get that effect of like the hair standing up on the back of on our skin, like a ghost has walked in the room, and trying to stimulate that effect. And then thinking about putting our attention on different parts of the body and then linking that together so that we can focus on different parts of the body at the same time. Obviously, we're moving towards focusing on all different parts of the body together, but it's a step-by-step process. And I also want to start looking at some differences between visualizing movement and actual visualization. So once you kind of get used to this whole body way of moving, eventually you can just visualize it in your mind, and you can feel the posture in your mind as you're visualizing it. You can even do it in your dreams, so that's also very interesting. And if you do Farley in your dreams, you might do it actually in real life, so it's quite, when you're asleep, that happens to me all the time. The first one we want to think about is the difference between, so one of the visualizations we'll do is just moving our arms forwards and backwards like that. And that's why, by the way, we want to do this kind of hybrid, not fully round like that. I never really do it like that anyway, but hybrid halfway like that, because we want to visualize moving forwards and backwards like that. But this very short kind of Shili movement, where it's just a count for 1, 2. And one of the reasons that we're doing that is that one of the most important things that we're actually doing in Zhan Zhuang is training the lock point. So again, this is a good example of how the method that we've been following is much easier to connect all of this to martial arts training. So when we hit the lock point to transmit force, that's exactly the same thing as when we're doing micro movements in Zhan Zhuang, and Wang Shenchai explains this very clearly. There's lots of people who think that Zhan Zhuang is just about relaxation, and then once you relax, somehow all your musculature will kind of meld together, and that relaxation will lead to some kind of martial power or something like that. It's not about that at all. Relaxation is just a stage, and once you get that relaxation and knitting together, then eventually we're going to bring that into lock points, which is how we generate force with Farley, and particularly how we transmit force, all the stuff that we've talked about on the course. And you build that up from Zhan Zhuang with micro movements, and Wang Shenchai is absolutely explicit about this. So what you'll get is, once you've been standing for a certain amount of time, you'll get a kind of lock feeling, like if you do a micro movement, like you're kind of locked in place, and that's it. That's the movement we want. It's moving between relaxation and tension. So when you can move with micro movements, you're going from a very relaxed state to a lock point in a microsecond. And what we want to do is start feeling what that means. Later on, you can take it, Wang Shenchai recommends this himself, like lie on your bed with your arms on the bed and just feel, what's that point where you squeeze in and it's kind of locked, squeeze out and it's kind of locked, and you can play. So if you did it big, you'd be doing that, but the feeling is like your arms are really locked, like they're trapped in concrete or something like that, and you can just move a tiny little bit. That's what we want. That's a lock point. And we train in that, and then we train it bigger, and then eventually we train it faster, and we bring it into hitting with power and sparring and stuff like that. It's actually quite a simple system, mystified ridiculously for whatever reason. So we're going to look at the difference between that. So imagining moving with Shili like that. So we're not actually going to move, but in your mind you're going to imagine that you're moving backwards and forwards like that, and out and in, and up and down like that. And what we want to do is try and stimulate the muscles, so that you actually feel like, even though you're not moving, it's like there almost is movement going on in the body, because the muscles are being triggered that would move your arms to do that. And we want to try and get the feeling that, like, don't force it, just visualize that you're doing the Shili, to feel that. And then what we want to do then is feel the difference when we use like an actual visualization, rather than just, see, it's almost not a visualization, that's just triggering the muscles that would move. An actual visualization, the one that we're going to use, is we're going to imagine that there's ropes tied to our wrists. And remember, these visualizations are often very bodily, like they're connected to our body, because we don't want the attention at first to be like projected into the distance. That's a more advanced kind of visualization. So initial visualizations are usually like bamboo pressing against the body, or there's very good reason for that it puts your attention on that body part. Ropes are tied, and there's a rope going up and a rope going down and a rope going either side, and these are really taut. And you can imagine, like, you know, there'd just be a little bit of movement, but it's not enough to do that. So when we're visualizing this, we're just going to visualize a movement that's this big, count of 2, 1, 2, like that. But then we're going to visualize that these ropes are holding our arms in place. And we're going to then visualize all the same movements, back and forth, up and down. And this is going to be more like if you imagine these ropes, like you're just vibrating or pulsing these ropes. You can imagine if they were taut, the feeling and what it would feel like. There'd just be a bit of give like that. We want to get that feeling, and we want to feel the difference. And hopefully we're going to feel how through that visualization, the feeling goes from the arms. The feeling that we had when we were doing Shili goes, because you're no longer triggering the muscles to move your arms forwards and backwards like that. And that's a very interesting effect that comes from, if you've been diligently training, following along, doing your standing, it comes from, at first when you imagine just moving a small movement like that, you're not engaging too much of your body. But then when you do the visualization with the rope, your intent tries to use your whole body to move it, because your wrist can only move a tiny amount, so it's got to get that whole body involved. But it really puts the focus on your wrist, but at the same time, it's very contradictory, really causes you to engage your whole body movement. So, and you'll feel a difference then, that the way you're kind of pushing these ropes backwards and forwards changes the way that your body feels. So the feeling goes from just being in your arms to being in your whole body. That's the effect that we're trying to create anyway. And we'll do a few other things along the way just to show some other things, or we'll try some experiments to see some of the interesting things that visualization can do. Like we'll visualize weights on our hands and things like that, and see if you can get the feeling of there being a different weight and things like that. If you don't get these straight away, don't worry. What you need to do is, just like with any kind of training, when you come to do your standing, you have a set of things that you want to work on. It's not just about relaxation. So you should have a set of visualizations. I mean, everything we've been doing so far has been about building up resilience, and I think a lot of people don't get that. I mean, someone posted a comment, saying like, well, Zhan Zhuang should have visualization. Actually, it did. He didn't watch the video, but it did. But that's not the point. At first, that's not that important. Building resilience is the important thing. Building resilience up to about 15-20 minutes, then you can start building and playing with visualizations more. And the visualizations themselves help you to stand for longer as well. So once you get that level of feeling, then you can start playing with those feelings. So we need to build into that more as we're going on towards the end of this beginner's course. We're doing it step by step and going deeper and deeper into visualization, and that should be in harmony, of course, with all your fight training and practice. And if you do it that way, you'll find it a lot easier. So we're going to do 30 minutes. A couple of other things to mention. It sometimes looks on camera like my feet are in line like that. That's the same with everyone. If you watch anyone, it looks like their feet are in line, and you've got to watch carefully to see that they're actually not. It's like an optical illusion. Your feet should be like the Chinese character for river, like two lines and a line down the middle. So there's a space in between. So if it looks like my feet are together, they're really not. And that's going to be important because we're going to do some eyes closed stuff. I'm going to hold for 30 minutes. If you need to take just a little shake off, that's absolutely fine. As ever, I can't do my visualization and everything as deeply as I would do if I was on my own. That's not the point of these videos. They're scientific. They're a moment we spend together where I can share what I'm feeling, and you can then take that into your own practice. That's, I don't normally spend my standing time talking, obviously. So let's just warm up a little bit. Always just do a little bit of a warm up. I think we kind of know the warm up we're going to do now, so I'm not going to do a massive one. And a bit of a stretch. It's just about a minute to go, so just warm up. Hope everyone's managing to do some standing, by the way. If you are doing the standing and it's helping, and you do drop me a message, by the way. Drop a comment, leave a note on Facebook. Like Wang Shangjai says, reveal all secrets to the world, hold nothing back. That's the whole thing. Promote Wushu. Okay, just a few seconds to go now. Okay, let's go. So as per usual, our first 10 minutes are just kind of relaxing, just letting the tension just slip away, getting into that higher level of relaxation in the body. It's the same for everyone, doesn't matter how long you've been practicing for. You just build up that tension. Just correcting your postures. Right, feels a little bit funny to me that, so just getting everything right in that first minute. Not worrying about any visualisation, anything like that, just feeling the body and letting the relaxation come. Letting the tension just pass out. Resisting the dog strikes of the nuts. Like them Shaolin monks are always hitting themselves in the nuts, nut toughening. I've got this dog. It's nice to just close your eyes for a bit, just challenges the balance a little bit, but really focusing on your body and just feeling the relaxations. Oh, my nose is itchy. I'm going to resist it. Although people very often talk about closing your eyes as being more to do with health, I don't quite get that myself, but what it absolutely does do is put you in that place where you have to do much finer control of the muscles to balance. So it's very good for that. You can do an interesting thing if you, like I've got different sounds coming from the left and the right because on the left the window is open, on the right the dog's squeaking his toy, life is going on here. So it's kind of a stereo measure that I can assess my balance from, like a kind of audio pole, like the poles that people use when they go on a tightrope. So I can just use sounds to just help me balance a little bit better if you just listen carefully. That's quite an interesting thing to try. So I can already feel a little bit of tension now in the, just around the tops of my arms and shoulders, and that's where the muscles are that are holding this posture. So sometimes they start tensing up because they're overreacting to the posture, but usually it's just that you become aware of it. So the tension's there just from daily life, it's in your whole body, but you just become aware of it first and more acutely. So when you've got to just breathe and let the posture. And focus on it, put your attention on it, and if you like, visualise warm water being poured over the arms. That helps to just dissipate that tension. So it feels like I've got like a little bit of fluff or something on my upper lip, just tickling the bottom of my nose. I think it's psychosomatic, but it just shows how when you just slow everything down and stop, and you start feeling your body, the slightest little thing, like it might just be like a little hair or something, just tickling away there, suddenly becomes massively magnified in its annoyingness. I'm just going to focus on it. And instead of avoiding it, I'm going to get into it. My arms have relaxed much more now. It's just like that initial noticing of the tension of daily life. People confuse that with, oh, my arms are hurting already. It's not that. It's very often not that. It's just noticing the tension. It takes 10 minutes to just to even get past all of that. As I say, it's why this whole 5-minute Zhuang fad just doesn't really work. My tummy is rumbling a little bit. Generally speaking, I'd rather eat after standing than before standing. I just think it's a more comfortable feeling, even if you're hungry. Just do a few more minutes, just get deeper into that relaxation. Now make sure you train with your eyes closed, and what I want you to do is feel your heels. And it's very much like when we set a posture. Just feel your heels like pressing into the floor. And you want to have a feeling like you're just making these micro adjustments. It's almost like there's something under your heel, like a little bug. You don't want to press too hard into the... Just imagine the bug's alive and you don't want to kill it. You don't want too much weight forward on the balls of your feet. You don't want too much weight on your heels. And just feel all the micro adjustments that your heel and the ball of your foot are making to balance. Just feel that for a couple of minutes. Can you feel it moving up your legs into your thighs? Just the internal tensions of the body. Or you might say the internal forces, just the way the ligaments and the muscles are moving just to stabilise, and just really feel that in your legs. Now let's start doing some of our interesting exercises. So, first of all, let's just work with our attention. So thinking about, put your attention on the backs of your hands. So you really feel the backs of your hands. Really focus, don't let it drift off to another part of the body, really feel the backs of your hands. And as I do that, I'm getting a tingling all right down my arms, right into my armpits, coming from the backs of my hands, like the hairs on the back of your neck standing up. That's the feeling you want. I'm really getting that feeling. Like a ghost has walked in the room, but just I can feel it spreading from the backs of my hand, right down my arms to my armpits. That's really interesting. That's exactly the feeling you want, by the way. You want it over your whole body eventually. Focus on the backs of your hands. Now I feel like the backs of my hands have gone colder, like the temperature's dropped. And that feeling is spreading. And it could be that I'm just because I put my attention there, become more sensitive to the currents of air in the room coming from the open window. Now let's change and put your attention to your thighs, the fronts of your thighs. Focus, shift it back off, don't let it drift back to the hands, back onto the thighs. It's hard. Put the focus on the thighs. Notice if you're drifting away. Put all your attention there. Now put all your attention on your back. Really feel that part of your body. You want to feel something like you're trying to feel the temperature of the room just with your back. Just try that for a minute. Oh, there it is, I got like that. I got the feeling like all hair standing up on their end. I'm feeling like a ghost has just pushed past you. I just got it all down my back. That's what you want. You try to stimulate that effect. So it's not even visualization, it's just attention. Now change. Try and focus on the backs of your hands, the fronts of your thighs, and your back all at the same time. Just do that for a minute. Try and feel them as a triangle. It's not easy, it's like your mind's got to lock into it and it drifts away from it and then back and then it just locks into that feeling. And it's like then you've got it. And when you've got it, try and feel like they're all pushing out, or your back's pushing back, hands are pushing up, thighs are pushing forwards. Okay, now let's start playing with like a different visualization. Don't need to have your eyes closed. I mean, it may help or it may not. But what you want to do is imagine there's a brick, just a brick balancing on your left hand. Assuming your left hand is forward. What we want to do is just focus on that for a bit and just try and feel the weight of the brick. Really visualize that it's there. If you're not getting anything, visualize 2 bricks. The weight's getting heavier. You're balancing them on your hand. And what you want to feel is like your body just micro-adjusting to take the weight, even though it's not really there. So I can feel that my left hand is feeling heavier than my right hand. Switch the bricks over to your right hand now. Let them take the weight. Try and feel the weight. on my right arm. It's twitching because of the weight. Now change. Imagine the bricks have gone. Now imagine that there's a pole from your elbow down to the floor supporting your arms. And just try and feel like your arms are more supported. Just try and feel that it's there, propping your arms up. Okay, now let's change. Let's start doing some of our exercises that we discussed earlier. So first of all, the small Shili exercise, like we're imagining that we're pushing forwards and backwards with our arms. So let's just do that now. Remember the time, it's like 1, 2 forwards and then 1, 2 back. So visualize like we're moving. Just try and feel the changes in the muscle and the muscle tone as your body reacts to the visualization of movement. I can really feel it in my upper arms, because the muscles are engaging that would normally trigger that movement. Now imagine you're opening and closing your arms, just like for a count of 2, a very small movement, open and closing. Just focus on that. I can really feel that. It's like my arms are actually opening and closing. It started to feel quite light. Going forwards and backwards. And alternate forwards and backwards, open and close. Feel it in your upper arms. Now we want to feel the difference with, this isn't even visualization yet, so not really. So now we imagine those ropes tied to our arms. They're pretty much holding us in place and we can only move micro amounts. Now we try doing the same thing, just moving the arms forward in our mind, but visualizing that they're held very firmly in place by ropes. And what we want to feel is a difference in the way that our attention shifts from the upper arms to the wrists, and just relaxes the arms a little bit more, because there's just no point engaging that much muscular engagement. Just visualize like pushing those ropes forwards and backwards. Just a tiny micro movement. And then try and get it a little bit faster, like you're pulsing back and forwards with it. But you still shouldn't actually be moving. Maybe if there was a special camera, it could see you were moving a micromillimeter. Then out and in. Ropes nearly pulled me off my stance then. and up and down. Imagine the rope start pulling you forwards. You've just got to resist by pulling back more. Just hold that as a static posture. And the rope start shifting, trying to pull you back, so you've got to push forwards. Hold that as a static posture. Now just free play. Just moving the ropes, just try to move them in different directions. Circular, forwards and backwards, out and in, up and down. Just play with that until our time's up. Okay, that's it. So arms down slowly, remember. Don't want to do it fast, you can hurt yourself. And then breathe in. And out. And in. And just gently loosen off. Even if people don't believe that standing does anything, nevertheless it's a serious thing to hold your arms out for longer periods of time. You don't want to just suddenly move, and you do need to relax off afterwards. Circle, and just loosen, stretch. Okay, that's it. I hope people manage to feel some of those effects. If not, keep going, connecting your intent back into your body. Well, there's all kinds of interesting things that we can do with visualization. There's a few examples there of just shifting your attention to different parts of your body, imagining weights on different parts of your body. It is visualization, but it's very basic kind of visualization, but it helps to start just looking at some of the things that you can do and the way that it changes the way that you do your standing and the way that it changes relaxation, and recognizing how effective that can be. Interesting things for me there are really getting that feeling as I focus on different parts of my body, getting that feeling of the hairs standing up on end. You can feel, once you make that breakthrough, you can feel it yourself, and also that parts of the body going cold, and then you'll start getting things like one half of your body going cold and the other half going hot, stuff like that. All those kinds of things happen. It's really, really interesting. And then the difference between visualizing movement, which is one of the interesting things about this kind of training, that you can visualize movement without actually doing movement, but seeing the difference between that and using a visualization, and why visualizations are so important. So I could really feel, as I was imagining pushing and pulling and so on, it was really engaging a lot of my upper body muscles. And then when I changed to the rope visualization, I could really feel all of that relax, and just the attention just shift to a much more relaxed structure. And these things were tied around my wrist, and I was then using my body more efficiently rather than just using muscles in my arms to move. My arms were relatively static, and I was using my whole body. So that effects that we wanted to get, I got that definitely. So if you didn't get it, keep trying, keep working on it. And you don't have to do, half an hour like that. You can do 10 minutes and then just kind of work on it for a few minutes. You usually do need to do 10 minutes though, just to get into that relaxed state. Anyway, I've already talked about all of that, so hope that was helpful. One love. I'll see you over in the next one.